have now LucifroN up against Lovesick, aka Jay, the Fnatic player. So let's focus a little bit on a more harmless way to show your skills and your strength. Starting to the top right of map number 1 in this best of 3, we have in green the current gaming player, the Terran called LucifroN from Spain. And starting to the top left of the map, we have his opponent, a Zerg player from Korea, starting for Team Fnatic. It is Jay, using the account of Liquid Jinro here. Game was played on the North American server. So let's find out how this is gonna go. This is of course the losers match in our group. It's Group D of the IronSquid tournament. And well, the loser is going to be out tournament already. The winner will have a shot of advancing and has to face MC in the consolation match.
Yeah, and whoever loses this, man, gets 4th place in the group. And you know, my prediction was Jay, but this is a totally different realm that we're seeing him play against now, a foreigner first of all, and he can play a different matchup. And I think that he may be able to shine here. I wonder if LucifroN has studied his style. I mean, going into a 4-player group, you normally want to study your opponent's style and get a good idea of what sort of player you're facing, but Jay is really vulnerable. I mean, I say this all the time, and at first I almost thought I was saying it too much, but every single time I watch him play, he dies to like 1 all-in the series, like no matter what.
The thing is just like, if LucifroN really prepares for his group, you know what's going to be the player that he really tries to watch a few games of. It's going to be Jay, because he will know about Parting's games. He has seen him and played him, and the same is true for MC. I mean, this is one of the guys that you see on televised matches all the time. So you kind of know what he's doing. You know where his strengths lie. If you are up against a player like Jay, you might have heard of him and you know him from Team Fnatic, but at the same time, it's a little bit more difficult for you to obtain video material. So that's probably the player where LucifroN really had a look at the couple of VODs or replays and was like, okay, I have to find out what he really likes to do, because this is the guy that I know the least about.
Yeah, it's very true. I just noticed I have an interesting Caldor fact for you guys. Caldor has a TI-30 calculator on his desk. That's like so Caldor to me. I'm like, there's a TI-30 calculator on your desk.
Why?
Because I mean, nowadays, like most people, I mean, it's handy to have it handheld, I guess, on your desk. But you know, most computers and phones have like scientific calculators you can use now. But you just have like the old school calculator, man.
I love that calculator. I actually brought that over from Germany the last time I was at home, because I was at that point in Korea for already like 7 months, I think, and I realized I don't really have a calculator, and sometimes I just needed to do a couple of sums and everything.
It's handy, so you don't have to alt-tab or anything and open the calculator app, which is much more tedious to type on the computer than it is on the calculator.
And the calculator app is just horrible, man.
It is pretty bad. Let's be honest, it's really bad.
The thing is, you know, if you actually just try to do a couple of sums or whatever, and you can't do it in your head, or that's fine, then you can just use the app. But if you really want to do like a little bit more sophisticated calculator, you need a calculator.
Yeah, I feel you on that. You have like one of those calculators that's like one of the older ones though. It's kind of in between, because the other ones where you can like actually edit in between, like you can exit. You know what I'm talking about? The newer ones where you actually have the arrow keys and you can go through.
I don't like them. I don't really need them. I usually don't make mistakes like that, and they are a little bit too sophisticated. I used that one at university, and I'm really happy with it. I always was. So it has all that I need, and I'm pretty familiar with it. And I thought about getting one of those programmable ones that you can use, but it's just overkill. I don't really need that.
I'm actually so bad at using this type of calculator you have that like I always will make a mistake when I try to type something. Then I get really frustrated. I'm like, I wish I could just go back and press backspace and then change the division sign to a multiplication sign, but. We have Quick Speed coming out here, and he's adding a bunch of drones, but doesn't feel comfortable just yet taking his 30. Wants to go lair first.
The thing about Jay that I have to say in this game is that he is getting a very, very early, not only lair tech, but also a very early second gas without going into a third base. So,
yeah, he could be aggressive off of this, in fact.
I actually think that I mean, there are several options if you go for this. Either you go into Infestors and fast Infestors and take a third a little bit later. You have the better tech this way. You could also try to hit a Mutalisk timing. So there are different options that you have as a Zerg, and he's getting now additional gas. We already have him now on 4, so that kind of indicates that he might go into a Mutalisk strategy and then get the third base with the added pressure to the Terran player. He could also, as mentioned, just try to hop into a faster Infestor attack, but with the Spine Crawlers that we have now, it looks a little bit more unlikely. The question is just like, how much is that really gonna do? So, I know, on a map like this, it's just the problem that you have is there are so many openings for your opponent when you have 3 bases. So it's difficult to use that, and there's the spy attack. So
I actually like the position that Jay gets into with this this tech though, because with Spire you can really shut down the Banshees pretty hard as soon as you get your mutas out, and then your opponent's, you know, his infrastructure is not quite as good. He doesn't have stim out, and I like the position that this puts Jay in, but he is going to have to deal with the first wave of Banshees, and so far, without an evolution chamber, there it is coming down. He's going to need spore crawlers here, and the Hellions are going to be a problem as well if he doesn't block his ramp.
the problem with mutalisks really are that you have a lot of timings where you are vulnerable. Even when the mutalisks are out, if your opponent decides to go into a heavy bio play instead of attack like LucifroN does here, there is a timing that he can use with Marines where he attacks you, and the mutalisks will help you, but it all depends of how you engage. You could actually lose too many of them. So the spy attack here will definitely give Jay the means of being aggressive, but he needs to go into a third base, and he needs to take that really as soon as he gets those mutalisks out. Force the Hellions back and then get the third base, or he will fall too far behind. Oh, nice.
A big risk here to try to go for this, but even off creep, he actually catches 3 of those Hellions. Now he can get the other ones. They're playing Ring Around the Rosie here.
Yeah, then they see there.
Yeah.
Mutalisks are now done. And to me, it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to use them. Is he trying to hide them and just fly over and hit LucifroN with the timing?
He starts turrets, though. He's very prepared for... Did he scan? Yeah, he scanned. So this is actually perfect for him. He now starts 4 missile turrets.
Yeah, and now we have the situation where you force the turrets out of your opponent, and LucifroN is not skipping on them. He already built 1, is building another 4.
Oh no, the depot was not raised either here. He's actually going to lose some SCVs. One of those turrets will not finish.
Well, he's actually losing a lot.
Yeah, more than I thought he would even.
Yeah, me too. He just doesn't have anything at home.
Yeah, he's totally out on the map with his Hellions.
Oh wow. LucifroN taking a lot of hits here.
Yeah, this is not good. The Hellions come back to defend though, and he will clean this up with the bunker.
Yeah, but he killed 8 harvesters.
Yeah, and he killed a Hellion. Now here come the mutas. 5 Marines at a time coming out, but if he can camp these Rush Fusiliers, maybe get a few of them. No, not quite. Not with those Marines next to the missile turret. He's going to be a lot more careful.
He needs to go. Yeah, there we are. That's the sweet spot, right at the refinery. Well, a little bit.
It was just 2 mutas there, actually.
That was
a lot of.
That was not well done.
Yeah.
And we have now a double Banshee into the main base at the top left.
And no mutas to defend, and no Spore Crawler here, even in the main. Oh, this is a big problem for Jay. He's actually going to lose a lot more than he bargained for here.
Exactly. He's losing way too much at this point. The Mutalisks were not as successful as he hoped for, and as you already pointed out, that 1 missile turret just did way too much damage. Now finally we have a few Mutalisks that could do a little bit here.
Nice split on the Banshees though to save him. Yeah, 1 Banshee will go down, the second one will escape for sure. That's really well done by LucifroN.
10 kills between the 2 of them, and if you just compare the Harvesters lost, LucifroN killed 9, Jay killed actually 13. So now he has the Mutalisks on the map. He is still far ahead in the overall worker count. But, I don't know. Jay has a lot that he can do now. If he really plays with a strong mid game where he goes into a Ling Muta Baneling, he can hit timings to attack the third, especially with LucifroN not having the siege mode done yet. But he needs to use those timings well, because LucifroN, if given time now with the third base in position, could just he could get back into this.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And I'm not sure what these mutas are going to try to accomplish next, because he's got enough of them to where he can fight SCVs when the Marines are not there, but he can't fight turrets. He doesn't quite have enough with that. And this push that we see sometimes at the third base with mutas and banelings, I don't feel like he got enough of an advantage to really be able to execute that, especially with siege tanks already out on the map now. So really what I feel he should do is actually just defend a little bit, take a 4th to the left side at the 9 o'clock base, and start to go into Hive, start the infestation pit.
Playing like an aggressive mid game now with the Ling Baneling Muta, following it up with infestation, the 4th base, as you said. That's what he does right now, taking the 4th here. Because if he just gives LucifroN too much time, LucifroN will gain that Terran momentum, where you have the better upgrades, you have a very strong Marine force that is supported by Medivacs, and then you can just push out. But so far, it really looks like LucifroN is able to secure himself these bases. He has the siege mode now, so Jay needs to start some aggression here, or at least follow it up with the tech, because right now he doesn't go for anything.
Oh, that one Muta barely survives here. He's actually going to get the medevacs, and this is awesome for Jay to be able to pick up some of these Marines and get the medevacs. But he does not want to play his Mutas over Marines. He loses one, almost two. This tank siege up here, and this aggression I feel is just not the right choice in this case, but he's trying to make it work.
I actually like it, to be honest with you. I just don't like the way how he micros his units here. The siege tanks did not even deal with the banelings because they didn't have to. This is a lot of aggression, and I feel like if he had microed this better, then that is exactly what he needs. The thing is, what are you gonna do? You are going into your fourth base. You try to you have two
do
choices.
something.
Exactly. You have either to go straight into the infestor attack, or you have to put on pressure. And as I said before, he had a lot of timings here to actually go for the aggression, and I feel this could have killed LucifroN's third.
It could have, and you know, he basically made up 10 mutas after he lost his initial mutas, so he had that investment in the mutas I feel like he felt he needed to use, otherwise it's a bunch of wasted gas. He's actually making a few more mutas now, and I think this is just at this point, from this point on, going to be for shutting down drops. I don't think he's going to actually attack with them anymore.
Jay was a little bit overwhelmed in this last fight. What he should have done, and what he usually I feel would have done, is take the Mutalisks and shift key on those two tanks immediately. He saw that. He had that vision. So shift key the two siege tanks when you move in, and then completely stop microing the Mutalisk for the time being and just focus on the ground units. Try to get the Banelings into the Marines, and the Marines will have to back off. They can't stand there. If they do, the Banelings are going to take them apart. So the siege tanks are gone, and suddenly you have the Lings in against the Marines, and still like a few Banelings left, and then you can focus on the Mutalisks.
Yeah,
again.
the Baneling control there was just not really there. It was a bit awkward.
His problem was that his Mutalisks were too close to the Marines, and suddenly they tried to fly in. And then he had to save the Mutalisks, he couldn't focus the tanks anymore. There were just a few things going wrong, and you only have like 2-3 seconds to deal with that. So he tried to save it, but at that point you're already engaged. And that was when things went south.
Yeah. +2 now coming out, though, for LucifroN. He's going to actually have to hold this attack, and this time he's got no siege tanks in position. This is a really smart attack. Siege tanks way out of position. The Banelings are definitely going to connect here on some SCV if he wants them to. It looks like he's just going to use the mutas and save the Banelings. No, really going to there at the last second. Oh, wow, that was a great Baneling hit. I feel like that was more luck than anything else, but hey, it works out.
And now suddenly he can take down the tanks. This is exactly what he needs. The Banelings take down every single Marine, and this is exactly where it's at. He's moving in, taking down the tanks. He's trying to chase down a few of the medivacs as well, and this is horrible for LucifroN. This was the worst engagement for him possible.
It just goes to show that things can change in an instant based on positioning and how you use your units and how micro works.
He needed to go back. He tried to attack, but just Jay, with a good positioning, was able to just run past his opponent's army, and then he forces LucifroN back, which means no sieged up tanks. Problem with the Banelings. Even the high ground vision wasn't there, so he didn't even know that Banelings were rolling towards his Marines. But he had to do it.
Yep.
It was just didn't have a choice.
Yeah, you're right.
It was a loss-loss situation for him, and now just look at the position he is in. He is so far behind.
Now Jay has total map control. He's got the Ultralisk Cavern coming up. 3-3 is coming. Yeah, a little bit behind, but with all the units he was able to kill LucifroN's, his army size should be big enough to where the upgrades are not going to be significant enough to really change the tide of battle.
Adrenaline Gland is coming up, Ultra's Cavern, Greater Spire, +3/+3,
Even
5th base.
and Spores to defend his tech.
He knows at this point, I've got this.
Yeah, he just has to make sure he keeps going down the right path.
Exactly. He knows with the Lings at the right side, no 4th base. And you can see on the minimap that he has basically Zerglings everywhere. He scouted and he knows, LucifroN, you have 3 bases. I am already at 5 bases. I have all my tech coming for me. I have this game. If I don't make a major mistake right now, you will not be able to take this.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
once again, circumventing his opponent's army and running into the third from a weird angle that works perfectly well for him.
Yeah, exactly. The depots were down, but he decided not to take it a chance. Now he raises the depots, but it doesn't matter. It's a bit too late. And now LucifroN has to go for the attack. With the Ultralisk coming out and the 13 Banelings he's making right now, I feel like he should be able to hold. He can actually turn his Lings around too to come help out.
LucifroN just can't afford to lose this base, because if the army of Jay runs back and takes down this force that the Terran player now has on creep, then what is LucifroN going to do? Rebuild his army? How? He doesn't have the resources.
He doesn't have the resources. You can see that at the top right even. He just doesn't have any money to make army anymore.
He's going to sandwich him here.
Yep, this is going to be, it's just not going to be pretty, Caldor. He's ready. Few Marines stem forward. The Lings are ready. He comes in from both sides, on creep and off. The tanks are gone.
Yeah,
That's
the Banelings,
about it.
the Banelings are even killed by the siege tanks here, but that doesn't matter anymore. LucifroN is down to 100 supply against 170, and all the tech units for the Terran player are suddenly gone. A 70 supply lead, and there's the GG. This is it. This is game. There we go. We have a 1-0 lead for Jay suddenly in this series.